South Africa right now, we had to discuss our industry and especially the junior industry in the aftermath of what happened in Marikana. So some of the interesting questions this morning was, what role did the regulatory environment play to contribute and what should be changed in order to avoid similar instances like that?
The agricultural sector has their own land bank. Is that something that the mining sector could possibly be looking at in order to get access to funding?
Years ago, the mining houses, in collaboration with each other, set up the New African Mining Fund. At the time, some 500 or 600 million rands got raised basically to provide private equity type funding for juniors. That money was spent, the projects delivered or failed, and that specific entity has raised more money now, I think $120 million this time. There are also other private equity pools of funds that are available, but private equity is also not the perfect investment medium for all mining projects. There are projects that are just even too early for private equity. Our single biggest problem seems to be, from listening this morning, is time. It takes too long, and time is money. If you sit around waiting for a permit for 6 months, you don't have money to sit around. The small people, the small companies don't have that money.
What type of infrastructure outlays would we need in order to assist junior mining companies?
The junior sector is exposed to infrastructure, in the sense that if you want to build a mine as a junior company, you can hardly afford the deposits that Eskom expects of you before you can even ask them to provide electricity. Junior companies can't build roads. So in the perfect world, government fulfills that part of the infrastructure provision, and mining companies hopefully create value for the communities and create profits for the shareholders. Right now, as you know, our country is constrained in terms of rail capacity for exports. It's a pity because we've got world-class coal and iron ore and manganese to export, and our country is severely constrained in terms of electricity and water. And there is a legacy of underinvestment. I mean, these are the projects that should have been commissioned 30 years ago in order for us to today have the benefits.
In order to increase their revenue stream, some African governments have increased their signature bonuses. Is it something that South Africa should be looking at, and does it not possibly squeeze the smaller companies out of the sector?
Yeah, I must say that specific tool I don't think would be an appropriate tool for South Africa now. Remember 110 years ago, there was a scramble for mineral rights, and if you own the land, you own the mineral rights, and the democratic government changed all of that, renationalized the mineral rights of the country. The state owns it, and we can now rent it from the state. And that has actually created significant release of previously held mineral rights. So we are at a slightly different stage to some other countries in Africa. To make it impossible for small companies to participate would be against transformation, it would be against black economic empowerment, and it would be against common sense in this country.
Just of course keep in mind that they announced they've got an illegal strike at their Buffelsfontein mine, looking to get a court order to force workers back to work. In the meantime, Sandton's road system may get some relief in the coming weeks. That's at the new tuk-tuks project hitting the street catches on. CNBC Africa's Amogelang Mbata reports on that.
Gautrain commuters arriving at the Sandton station now have a fun, affordable transport alternative for getting around the Sandton CBD. Tuk-tuks are an essential form of urban transport in many developing countries and a form of novelty transport in many Eastern countries.
We identified quite a niche market in this kind of Sandton CBD area where, there are traditional metered taxis, but they weren't really servicing at a cost point that we thought was competitive for the short radius trips that we offer. Today was the official launch. For the next 2 weeks, it'll be free service to the public. They'll be on a catch-it-see-it basis. There will be no bookings. We'll just be inundated. But if you see a tuk-tuk, you're welcome to go for a ride. After that, our drivers will be taking the normal fare. We've identified a model which we really want to empower the drivers, be it through skills development training, but also offering them a franchise opportunity to purchase a second vehicle and run that as kind of their business.
This new mode of transport will have 2 green routes spreading for a 5-kilometer radius around the Sandton CBD. These 2 routes will cost between 25 Rand and 55 Rand. And now it's back to the office for me on my first Shesha Tuk-Tuks joyride.